I get asked all the time how to get started in the world of digital marketing. In this video, I'll share how I would do it if I was starting all over again today. Hi, my name's Ed. I'm Chief Marketing Officer here at CareerFoundry, and I've been in the marketing industry for 14 years. In those 14 years, I've seen the industry evolve and develop very quickly to something very different from the industry that I first entered. So one of those developments is obviously that the industry is a lot more complex. There are a ton of roles out there, and it can be hard to navigate between all those different roles and really decide which one you want to go for. So hopefully the guidance in this video will give you clarity and confidence. So I'm going to split this video into 3 parts. The first part, I'll talk about my career journey from marketing trainee to C-level, and then I'll talk about how I'd now approach the job psychologically and philosophically, how I'd do it differently from when I was doing it. And thirdly, I'll give a concrete and tangible roadmap of steps that you can take to get into digital marketing. So I first started dabbling in the world of digital marketing in 2008, and obviously the digital world was a very different place then. So my first job in digital marketing was doing social media marketing on YouTube and Facebook for a small language learning academy. And so that experience led me to get hired as a marketing trainee at Babbel. In my first role there, I was doing search engine marketing. From there, I started the content department at Babbel. And then after 5 years, I wanted a new challenge. And so I came here to CareerFoundry to take on the role of head of marketing. And to be honest, it wasn't until I got to CareerFoundry that I think I really started to appreciate marketing holistically. So here we come to the second part where I talk about how I'd approach the role differently. Now, when I think back to where I was at the time, then I was working part-time as a language teacher. I was doing this marketing work on the side for this language learning academy. And to be honest, I kind of fell into marketing because I was running out of money in a foreign country. And so for that reason, I was kind of opportunistic rather than really planning out the career path that I'd want to take. And the first 3 points that I want to elucidate are really about this process of planning the career journey that you want to take. So what would be the first difference in the way that I'd approach the role? Firstly, I would have a respect and an awareness for the impact that you can have as a marketing professional. So when I first started in marketing, I wasn't aware of the kind of impact you could have as a marketing professional. I wasn't aware that you could drive growth through your activities to really have an impact on the company and on your colleagues. At Babbel, it went from a company of 20 or 30 people to 600. CareerFoundry similarly has gone from a company of 20 to 120. The second thing that I would have done related to the planning that I mentioned before would be to develop my visualization skills. So what do I mean by visualization skills? So one of the questions that I took from this book, Radical Candor, that I use often in interviews is, what does the pinnacle of your career look like? So it's really worth sitting down and being quite meditative about it and really closing your eyes and thinking about what kind of career you want to lead, what kind of role you want to do, what you want to be doing on a daily basis, and the kind of people that you want to be working with. And you don't only need that narrative for you, you also need it periodically throughout your career when you're in interviews or when you're in reviews talking about promotions, so that you can kind of talk about where you want to go and why you want to go there. And that's something that for the first couple of years of my career in digital marketing, I was never able to do and I was never conscious of. And everything kind of happened by happy accident rather than by design. And the third one, and perhaps most importantly, is the idea of a growth mindset. So if you're not familiar with the term growth mindset, it's basically the belief that your abilities aren't static, that there's something that can develop and evolve over time if you pay attention and if you practice your skills. And this is something starting out in digital marketing that I didn't really have. I didn't have this understanding that I could develop my own abilities very, very quickly. And I found things like spreadsheets and numbers all very intimidating, but these are all things that are eminently learnable and doable. You just have to have the belief in the application in order to do so. So that's how I'd approach the field differently. Now let's look at the concrete steps that I would take to get into digital marketing. So moving on to the first step, I would say the most important thing is just to read broadly around the topic of marketing, to really understand the basic theory of marketing that you can then apply to your practice. If I were to start over, I would start with blog posts, simple Googles, really understand the role of a digital marketer, but I would also start with some nice books. So the first book I'd recommend is This is Marketing by Seth Godin, because it's a really optimistic and positive portrayal of what a digital marketer or what a marketer does and what their essential role is within a company. And after that, you can read some of the old classics. So amongst those, I'd recommend Scientific Advertising and also anything by David Ogilvy is also highly recommended, and perhaps the seminal book is this one, Ogilvy on Advertising. You might want to check out these books, which are a little bit more advanced. Obviously Awesome, which is all about branding and positioning, particularly for B2B companies, or Obsessed, which is all about building brands that people love. And if you're looking for sources of information for digital marketing, I really recommend the CareerFoundry blog, which has a ton of posts about introductory topics, how to get into digital marketing, the basic vocabulary, the basic principles. So really recommend checking that out. The link's in the description. So let's move on seamlessly to step 2 of the roadmap. Once you've understood the vocabulary and the basic foundations of the role, it's important to start learning the basic principles of marketing. And one of the basic principles of marketing, one of the most important, is the idea of the funnel. So let's look at a basic marketing funnel. Typically at the top of the funnel, you have awareness. So here, an example, there's a product you've never heard of, you see a pre-roll YouTube ad, and suddenly you're aware of that product. Next up is interest. Now, as I'm sure you experience on a daily basis, you're bombarded with ads, both online and offline. You become aware of them, ideally for the advertiser, but then there's the big question mark as to whether you're actually interested in that product. So let's pretend you're interested in the product. Maybe there's a nice pair of trainers that you've been thinking about buying. You've seen a couple of ads for it, and then you start going into the consideration phase. So you think, maybe I do want to buy these trainers. Maybe not so much for trainers, but for other products, you'll enter the evaluation phase, and this evaluation phase might involve going around the internet and reading reviews. The next stage, as I said, is the decision. You decide that you want to purchase the product or the service, and then comes the purchase. That's obviously the moment when money exchanges hands and the marketer has their first success. But that's not necessarily the end of the funnel. You can also have repeat purchases. The product is so good, you want more of them. You could also have demonstrations of loyalty. So you might say to friends, hey, this product is fantastic, you should really consider buying it. And that's where we get this kind of advocacy. And that's kind of this golden territory for a product where it then has this flywheel where people are promoting the product for you. So why am I telling you all of this? Well, you need to kind of understand this funnel to understand the different marketing roles and where they might sit and how this affects the kind of tasks and duties and responsibilities that you have in that role. So I've already mentioned video advertising, TV advertising, and that kind of advertising is typically aimed at this awareness phase of the funnel. However, if you're working in email marketing, for example, so someone's already aware of the product, they've signed up for something, and you're going to be much closer to that purchase moment. You might even send them an email with a discount, which triggers that purchase. And here you can just imagine where you're working on the funnel, that you're working in a very different way. And there, just the vocabulary and the language that you use is probably going to be very different, and the skills required are very different as well. And you might have the more creative people working with words and design at the top, and lower down the funnel, you're working with more tactics and strategies to initiate this purchase action. So once you've got a good understanding of the principles of the funnel, then you're ready to decide on the area of marketing that you would prefer to enter first of all. And when you enter this field of marketing, then you want to learn at least one tool to become an expert in that field. So what does a tool look like? Let's take something like search engine optimization, SEO. So you're optimizing blog posts and the website in order to maximize the amount of organic traffic, so unpaid traffic, coming through Google search results. And a couple of tools that you might use to do this are Ahrefs and SEMrush, for example. And those tools will give you tons of information about the kind of keywords or the kind of terms that people are searching for, and give you pointers on how you can optimize your content in order to maximize the number of people coming to your site using those terms. And if you become an expert in one of these tools, that's really something that you can put on your CV, and that's really something that will be convincing even when you go for a trainee or entry-level job. Similarly, if you want to go into social media, obviously you can start your Instagram account or your YouTube account, but you can also take it to the next level and use a tool like Later or Sprout Social in order to make your whole work process even more efficient, to post across various different networks simultaneously, and also prepare your posts well in advance. And again, if you want to go into social media and on your CV you have experience with those kinds of tools, it's already going to be a good foot in the door when you have that interview. So if you're finding all of this is quite a lot of information, we do have a comprehensive short course that's completely free where you'll learn about the different roles and different areas of digital marketing, all the major metrics that you'll be working with and what it takes to get into a digital marketing career. You can find the link for that in the description below. Next up is to start networking. You have a lot of knowledge now. You can talk about the field with some degree of authority, and now you want to start talking to experts in the field and really finding out what it's like to work as a digital marketer. So how do you start networking? Really simple. All you have to do is get onto LinkedIn and write to a few people in your local area that have positions or roles that you would also potentially be interested in the future, and invite them for a coffee. Generally, people are very open to do this, and it's something that I have also done very, very regularly with people that I've never met before, simply because it's good fun to exchange information and to have that sensation that you're mentoring someone and helping them. And these people will really not only be treasure troves of information, but often they will also present you with some kind of foot in the door, either at their company or potentially a company of an acquaintance of theirs as well. So if you're feeling nervous about approaching someone within a company, the first thing is you don't necessarily have to go for the head or the director or the C-level. You can talk to someone who's just a year or two ahead of you, because they might even be able to give more practical knowledge for your situation. And then ask those questions. Why did they do what they do? How did they choose to focus on different channels? How do they measure success, for example? And most importantly for you, you want to know why they hire the people that they hire. What kind of attributes do they look for? Because yes, they'll look for hard skills, but very often they'll look for soft skills and culture add and your kind of personality, the curiosity and willingness to learn that you bring to the role. And those are things that you can't necessarily so easily train and add to your CV. Those are things that you have to demonstrate in interviews. So you've had your coffee, you've started networking, maybe you've even got a mentor out of that networking. Now's the time to start applying for jobs. And when you're applying for jobs and you're trying to get your first role in digital marketing, you want to find ways of standing out from the crowd. And one way that I would recommend that I've seen happening more and more often is submitting portfolios of your work. So I talked about before the kind of things that you've read, the kind of tools that you've practiced. Then you want to take the evidence of that learning and then present it in a way that's easy to consume for any hiring manager. Now, obviously, you can do this through self-learning and through reading blog posts, testing things out yourself. But there are also structured programs offered by online schools like CareerFoundry that will also help you develop this portfolio and also give you a really holistic understanding of the field of marketing. So you've started sending in your CV, you've started sending in your portfolio, and you'll start to get those first positive responses inviting you to interview. In that interview, it's your opportunity to show your hunger and curiosity for the job. And for those people coming into the entry-level job, for me, that's really the deciding factor. They've shown an interest in the field, they've read around it, they can talk about the theory, they might have some examples of practical experience, but they really want to show the curiosity and the hunger to learn about the field and a real open mind to accept critical feedback and improve quickly. And in that interview process, it's really important to get an understanding of what success looks like for the hiring manager. So you can ask that question outright. In 6 months' time or in 3 months' time, what do you expect me to have achieved? What kind of impact do you expect me to have had at the company? And that immediately gives you a target to aim for. And if you hit that target after 6 months or a year, it also gives you a good argument for promotion and potentially a raise as well. So you've had your interview, you impressed the hiring manager, you got the job offer, congratulations. So you enter the new role, and what happens next? Again, it's very, very important to not only share your experience and get advice from your immediate colleagues, but also to network within your industry and to learn from them, which will also open up all sorts of opportunities, but also to continue reading industry blogs to really find the kind of influencers in your area who are those people that are the leading edge of what you're doing and to learn from them, and also to attend conferences or online events in order to keep your knowledge up to date. One great example of a resource that you can use is marketingexamples.com, which publishes an example of great marketing every week, and often they're quite simple ideas that you can quite rapidly implement in your company. So that just about brings us to the end of the roadmap. So I hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, please like and subscribe to the channel. We've got tons more digital marketing content coming out soon. But before you go, be sure to check out our free digital marketing short course. And if you decide that digital marketing is the career for you, then we have exactly the program for you. The digital marketing program guarantees to take you from complete beginner all the way through to job-ready professional and help you land the job at the end of it. And the best things about it, you get paired with a mentor and tutor, experts in their field that will coach you through the program and teach you digital marketing. And not only that, it's so flexible that you don't even need to quit your day job to do it. So check out the links in the description to find out more about that. So we have lots of other digital marketing content right here on YouTube. You can click here to learn about how to grow your career as a digital marketer, all the way from that entry-level job to a senior position, or you can click right here where you can find out all about the trends that we expect to see in the next few years in the fascinating world of digital marketing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.